Hello everyone, I'm Aggie, and I'm going to present Venn Griff's Listening to Learning or Learning to Listen. In this presentation, I will introduce a brief overview of cognitive process first, and turn to listening introduction, and then I will show recent research on different types of listening, and the last part is social linguistic dimension and future directions. From past to now, listening instruction and approaches have developed. The image of L2 listening instruction is changing, like in the past time, listening is considered as passive activity, but now, listening is thought to be a positive process. Now let's move on to the major part. Listening involves physiological and cognitive process at different levels, as well as attention to contextual and socially coded acoustic clues. Therefore, study of listening teaching in L2 must consider the complex cognitive process of listening structure. Earlier reviews of research in L2 listening teaching have focused on the key role of bottom-up and top-down process. Through bottom-up process, listener combines different meanings to construct their own meaning by accretion from the phoneme level up to discourse level. While in top-down process, listeners use context and prior knowledge of long-term memory, like topic and culture, to form their comprehension. The speed and effectiveness of listening during the process depends on the degree that whether listeners can efficiently process what they heard. Therefore, native listeners can process this automatically. However, the beginning level L2 listeners cannot. Many recent research notice that teaching strategies provide support for enhancing listening comprehension. In the following, I will explain several researches one by one. The first is research on advanced organizers. There are two aims to listening: advanced organizers and visuals. Herin, Cole, York, and Linden studied beginning-level learners of French into two groups. The result shows that advanced organizers are important to facilitate comprehension. However, mismatch likely encourage the listeners to focus on the wrong parts of the video test. Ginther investigated the relative effect of two kinds of visuals on listening performance on the computerized TOEFL test. One is context visuals and another one is content visuals. The result is that content visuals slightly enhance the comprehension of mini-talks, but context visuals decrease comprehension. The second research is on using DVD with captions. In 2001, Markham, Peter, and McCarthy compared the effects of different captions on the listening performance of Spanish students. And in 2002, Jones and Platts compared the effect of pictorial support and written annotations with beginning-level French classes. The differences between pictorially assisted or caption-assisted listening and authentic listening raises questions about the transferability of skills from a learning context to a real-life context. Now is the third research. Sigalovis recognized that the automatizations of recognition skills, like fluent bottom-up processing, is critical for successful listening comprehension. And there are 4 researchers working on this field. The 4th research is about metacognitive awareness. Metacognitive strategies in proper use can be effective for successful listening comprehension. And the use of metacognitive strategies is not unique to successful L2 listening, but also in L1. When the group found significant quantitative differences for 4 strategies, and he investigated the effect of a strategy-based approach on student awareness process. We have gone through the empirical study on listening, and now we will go further into instruction part. The results of the study just described 7 observations concerning instruction in listening as listed as in this slides. Listening comprehension involves two mutually interactive processes to help the listener make meaningful interpretation of what they hear. Recent literature mentioned the teaching instruction in the process of listening. Using a process approach helps students how to listen and guides them through the stages. The steps in the circle and the metacognitive strategies underlying each step are presented in the figures below. From this figure, we can see that there are 5 stages, starting from planning, predicting stage, and then to 3 rectification stages. Finally is the reflection stage. Students appreciated for how this process approach helped them to infer what they have already known, but they also frustrated at not being able to segment all the words out of the string of sound. So we can use strategies to segment the words. Hastings described a 6-step procedure of word acquisition skills and have developed a multimedia software program, 1-3 Listen, to help listeners build associated networks. There are 3 types of listening: academic listening, bidirectional listening, and narrow listening. And there is Tomatis approach, which is used for listening to train the ear. Now let's come to the final part. There are several researchers working on the social-linguistic dimensions of listening instructions, such as Carrier, Harris, and Fox. And Fox formulates the 4 comprehension norms based on the pedagogical norm. At last, the author comes up with 5 points of directions for future research. He believes that in listening comprehension, more rigid research is needed to promote the teaching of cognitive processing because it is important for language learning through listening. Okay, thanks for watching. This is the final of my presentation.